Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Conscious Business Coffee Break, where we take a few moments to explore what's happening in the conscious business movement, expand awareness, and encourage your efforts in conscious business. Greetings, everyone. My name is Stephen Donaco of the Conscious Business Enterprise, a division of Humanities team. And in today's episode, what's all this talk about plastic lately? Just all over the place we're hearing about plastic, and with good reason. Probably one of the most startling stories that came out within recent weeks is that the amount of plastic pollution in the ocean is set to triple by the year 2025. And there's this big island of plastic swirling around in the Pacific between the coast of California and Hawaii, right? So right in that middle of the water, which is, out of sight, out of mind for most of us, right? Because it's basically flyover water for people going back and forth between California and Hawaii. And because it's not in front of us, we really don't realize how massive it is and what kind of impact it's having on our planet. And the other thing that was really startling about that story was the other item that came out that found that in over 90% of our drinking water, there are traces of plastic. And this includes bottled water. So bottled water is not immune from plastic pollution. It's hasn't been adequately filtered to remove the plastic that we don't see in it. So it's just these really startling, unbelievable stories about plastic that are it's so prevalent, and it's toxic, right? So it's not good for us. And what do we do as conscious business people and conscious consumers to address what seems like such a massive problem? That is there even a way to solve it at this point? So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what you can do in a little bit, but I also just wanted to bring up a couple of other items as it relates to the conscious business aspect of this issue. And one was that Coca-Cola had recently announced that it was going to collect and recycle all plastic packaging by the year 2030 of its own creation. So that's great. What was amazing to me about that story was that, a company like Coke and Pepsi has made a similar kind of commitment. The thing about these companies is that, if they want to announce a new product, they can usually do so in less than 12 years. So why is it that when it comes to the health of the environment and the planet, we have these really long time frames for taking action, but when it comes to the new products, those can be conceptualized and rolled out within maybe a year, 2 years, maybe 3 at the most. So it's good to see the initiatives. I would challenge corporations to act much more quickly to implement those. So keeping that in mind, Starbucks also announced that it was going to begin creating recyclable cups. And Starbucks has been getting a lot of flack for several years now, probably 10 years, around its use of non-recyclable cups. Now, you might think these are made of paper, right? If you've gone into a Starbucks and you've gotten a paper cup to go, you'd think, well, okay, that's recyclable. Well, it turns out it's not because of the plastic that it's lined with. And it has virtually made the cup unrecyclable. So there's been a lot of pressure on Starbucks to remedy that issue, and finally it says it's going to do it, and it's going to do it within 3 years. So it's a much better timeline than the Pepsi and Coke initiatives to recycle plastic. The thing is that Starbucks has made these promises before, so the important thing will be for us as conscious consumers to keep these companies accountable for it. So those are some of the things happening on the packaging side, the recycling side in conscious business as it relates to plastics. So let me give you a little bit more good news around this, because there are businesses doing more proactive things to address the issue of plastic. BBC Radio Bristol had posted, and I'm going to put all of these links in the video for you. Actually, once I'm done broadcasting, I'll put links to all of these items so that you can go back and look at them. But BBC Radio Bristol posted a video on how a supermarket in Great Britain basically was, well, the customers of the supermarket, let's put it this way, the customers of the supermarket refused to take home the products that they were buying in plastic, and essentially took the products they bought out of the plastic and then left the plastic at the supermarket and made that the supermarket's problem to deal with. So some activism there that's been good to see. And somewhat related to that, in the supermarket realm, there's the world's first plastic-free aisle opening in a supermarket in the Netherlands. So for people who are really conscious about this, and businesses that are conscious about this, you can go to a supermarket in the Netherlands, buy products that are not wrapped in plastic, and therefore keep it out of the ecosystem. All right, so those are some of the various news items about the appearance of plastic in products and what people are doing to address these proactively. So if you're a business, you can turn to things like ecoplastics, plant-based plastics. You can demand your suppliers use less plastic or eliminate plastic from packaging. As a consumer, you have the power of going to the businesses that you support and insisting that they either reduce or eliminate their use of plastic. Now, in the Conscious Business Declaration, our third principle is that business must go beyond sustainability and the philosophy of do no harm to restoring the self-renewing integrity of the earth. So another item of good news that I want to share is that if we can really commit to cleaning up this mess, a great example was a story in Mumbai that one of the dirtiest beaches in Mumbai was cleaned up. It was filled with plastic and other garbage, and the community came together, cleaned up the beach, and for the first time in 20 years, they had turtles hatch on the beach because it was clean. So, with the help of humanity, with the conscious help of people, and holding out hope that we can make a difference, we can quicken the self-renewing integrity of the earth. And that's exactly what they did in Mumbai. So I'd like to welcome everybody who's been joining me live and putting comments in. I appreciate you being on. And if you're watching the recording of this, I appreciate you watching. So the last thing I want to mention is there's a really good friend of mine, a peer of mine, who has started several years ago an organization called Shorecombers. So if you want to get involved locally in reducing the amount of plastic that goes into the ocean, go to shorecombers.org. And again, I'll put this link in the video after I broadcast. But BJ Smith is the founder of shorecombers.org, and she helps provide local communities with the resources to do trash cleanup. And you might think, let's say you live somewhere, deep within the mainland. I live in Indiana, in Valparaiso. And you might think, well, it's landlocked out here. So, I mean, I'm close to Lake Michigan, but, I'm still 10 miles south of it. So how could some, a plastic straw on the street end up in the ocean? Well, actually it can, because all of the different waterways, lakes, streams, small creeks, all eventually, and you might find this startling, but eventually all sources of water that flow on land eventually make their way to the ocean. So if you see a plastic straw on the street, for instance, and you might think, well, that's not going anywhere. Well, eventually, if you leave that alone, it will make its way into the water system and eventually make its way into the ocean, and likely to that big island of plastic that's in the middle of the Pacific. It seems impossible, but it is true. So BJ Smith with Shorecombers brings local people together. She helps them create initiatives to clean up plastic locally in their communities. And that's one thing you can do by just cleaning up the plastic in your community, keeping it out of the ocean, just by picking it up from your streets, from your yards, from parks and so forth. So I will put links to BJ's organization and all of these stories that I mentioned today into the comments of the video once I'm done broadcasting. So thanks again for joining. Happy to be here with you and sharing this information. And if you've got comments and you've got questions, feel free to leave them in the discussion thread for this video. And I'm always happy to consider ideas for episodes in the future if you're interested in how conscious business and conscious consumerism can improve humanity and our state of being on the planet. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time here on Facebook Live. And as always, my thanks to Fluid Coffee Bar in Valparaiso, Indiana, for providing the venue and being so gracious to me to host this program here. So thanks, and we'll see you again soon. Have a great day.